Thank you, Angel. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to you guys today. What I'm going to talk about is how to move people through what I call the buyer's journey. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, without ever having thought about it before, today's the day I'm going to hire a business coach, or today's the day I'm going to buy promotional items for my business. Those processes and those thoughts happen in your head a long time before you actually make the decision. So our marketing has really changed. So I'm going to take you through the steps of how people think and why you need to, revamp your marketing a little bit. So just for a quick update, who am I and why should you listen to me? I'm Julie Rowland. I'm president. My company's name is Quadrivium Advisors, and quadrivium in Latin is that perfect place where four things come together. And I always think that that's my job, to bring a company's policies, procedures, systems, and controls into alignment so they can make more money. I'm a business coach and consultant. I'm an entrepreneur just like you guys. I wrote a book. It's called Your Unicorn Business: How to Be Unique, Own Your Industry, and Dominate Your Marketplace. Because I think if you're not unique and different, you get lost in the crowd and nobody really knows about you. This is what I think makes me different. I have a master's degree in finance and business. So when I go in to help a company, I can look at your numbers and I understand them. I don't want to be a CFO. I don't want to be a bookkeeper. I don't want to do any of that stuff, but I can teach you how to do that. I'm a certified financial planner and a chartered financial analyst. Yeah. I started out as a high school math teacher, so you can see numbers are very important to me. I always say if you don't know the numbers of your business, you're not going to succeed. And as I told all of you, that's all wonderful, but mostly I'm a mother. 2 children, my daughter on the left, and yes, she got married outside in the snow. And my son and his wife were much smarter. They got married indoors, and I love them to death, but they don't matter. This is the little guy that matters. This is my grandson that you may see wander in here real soon if he wakes up. My son and his wife adopted him and made me a forever grandmother. So that's a little bit about me. So now let's talk about business. And I could talk about this forever. It's just one of those things that I do. I say people start a business because they have talents, they have skills, they have products. I don't have talent, skills, or products, but I know how to run a business. So that's what I do. So all of the fundamentals, the only one we're going to talk about today is marketing, the sales process. And what you see here is the way we used to market. Those of you that aren't as old as I am, you don't remember this, but it was called tactical marketing. All you had to do was hang up your shingle and wait for people to come because you didn't have a whole lot of competition. Everything was different. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have commercials on TV. Everything was different. So you hung up your shingle and people came. Now it's quite different. There's only 1% that are all the way down on the now buyer side. And that 1% are people like, if I walk out here and my roof is leaking, I'm a now buyer. I need a roof. If I go out and I have a flat tire, I'm a now buyer. I got to join AAA or call someone or do something. I'm a now buyer in those. But most of us are in industries that you are not talking to people who are now buyers. And people get so upset, they say, well, they said no. All they said was no today. They didn't say no forever. They didn't say no, that they're never going to want or need your product. They just said no today. And so you have to stay in front of them. It's the only way to do it today. So I hope nobody knows this gentleman on my next slide. I've used him for a while. This is an example of, I just downloaded it right off of his website. This is his web page. And if you can see it, you can get your free consultation. Call me at this number, contact me here. Oh wait, in case you didn't get those, over here on the left is also another place where you can see my phone number. This guy hasn't told us anything about him, about what he can do for you. He might tell us a little bit about him, but my favorite saying is every customer or client that comes in your door has a problem they don't want and a solution they don't have. You have to figure out how to be the solution of the problem that they may or may not even know that they have, but they have it. So this guy is marketing. Well, he's not even really marketing. He's just saying, here I am. I'm wonderful. I'm a CFP. Contact me. I'll, get your free analysis here. And that doesn't work. We all know that that doesn't work these days. So if we talk about the fundamentals of marketing, there are 3 steps. The first thing is you have to have something good to say. You can be the best in your field, but if you don't say it properly, nobody's going to know. You have to come up with that unique phrase. We all talk about our 30-second commercial that we should have, or, elevator speech. You have to have it. You have to have something good to say. That's called your market dominating position. The second thing is you have to say it well. If you're not well spoken, if you can't speak with enthusiasm about your industry, your market, your product, your service, whatever it is, if you can't do it with a smile on your face and conviction, nobody's going to want to buy from you. Nobody's going to want to trust you. If I'm a real estate agent and somebody comes in and wants to talk about listing their house, and I hem-haw around about, yeah, I've helped a lot of people, they pick up on that. So you have to have something very good to say about yourself and your services. You have to say it well. And then the last thing is, as we know, you have to say it often. If you've ever, during elections, you drive down the street and you see, vote for ABC candidate, and you'll see 3 or 4 signs in a row. We're like, why do they do that? Why don't they spread them out? They do that because it works. Your brain needs to see something 3 to 6 times before it truly registers. There was, when we lived in North Carolina, I loved this company. It was a pizza delivery, little small mom and pop place. They had 3 cars that all day long, all they did was drive through the neighborhoods, and they had their advertisement on there, and they drove right behind each other. And people used to say all the time, why don't they put one on the east side of town? Why don't they put one over here? Why do they do it? They did it because you were talking about it, because you knew it, you remembered it, you saw it. It might irritate the heck out of you, but when you saw it, you knew it. There was brand recognition, and that's what you have to do. So these are the 3 things that I sit down with, and I say, you have to have something good to say. You have to really hone in on what your message is. You have to say it well, and then you have to say it often. The one thing I want to tell you when you do marketing, and we're going to talk mostly about drip marketing today, but when I say it often, pick one traffic source. Don't spread your dollars too thin when you're just starting. We're all going back to business now. We're all thinking we have to get new clients. How are we going to do this? I'm going to pay for ads on Facebook, and I'm going to do this in LinkedIn, and I'm going to do this on, in a magazine or whatever. Don't do that. Pick one traffic source, test it, see how it works, learn your analytics, and if it's successful, then take that to somewhere else. If it's not successful, then we need to revamp it. But people spread their money out too thin without really knowing if it works. So when I say it often, you want to use the same traffic source. Facebook used to be, well, it still is my favorite. I do all of my paid ads through Facebook. There were 3.2 billion people a day on Facebook. Facebook has gotten really difficult now with their algorithms, what ads get pushed out and what they don't. And that's just because of what's going on in the environment right now. With all of the, say, Black Lives Matter and the protests, that stuff tends to get more attention from Facebook right now. So you have to be careful with if you're going to spend money right now. But I'm telling you, you want to pick one traffic source, stick with it, find out if it works. So let's look at some, well, here it is. This is my favorite thing. I love the buyer's journey. We have people who are future buyers. So if I want to put on a screened-in porch in my house, I start to think about it. I start to look at ads. I see my neighbors, and I think, dang, they live out there. I should have one of those. So I'm a future buyer. I'm just thinking about it, not seriously spending the money, not doing anything, but it's in the back of my mind. So what they're doing at this time is they're trying to talk themselves into why they should buy it. Everybody goes through this. You go through it when you buy a new car. Should I buy it? Should I not buy it? You're in that stage of being a future buyer. Now, if I came up to this person at this point let's say this was someone in my business and I met someone and they were contemplating hiring a business coach, but you know, yeah, I just thought about it a little bit. If I never touched them again, if I never came back and interacted with them, I've lost a huge thing, because all they did was say no to me on that day. What people are going through is they're going through the process of whether or not they should do this. So then they get a little egotistical and they say, well, of course I need that sun porch. My neighbors have it. It would be awesome. I deserve this. I've worked hard. So now they've talked themselves into it. So once they've talked themselves into it, now they have to go and decide who they should buy from. If they have not heard from you all along this path, they're not going to choose you. They need to be hearing from you over and over and over again. P&G did a study a while back. Well, they did the first one in 1980. And they did a study to see how many times someone had to see a commercial on TV before they recognized that, A, that product belonged to P&G. It wasn't just a shampoo, but it belonged to them. And at that point, it was 8 to 10 times someone had to see a commercial. They did the same thing in 2004, and it was like 608, I don't know the exact number, but over 600 times, because you see so many, so often, and people tune out of them. You just really, it used to be, you know, commercials were almost part of your activity. Now that's when you go get your food and you go to the bathroom and you make your calls and check your phone and do all that stuff. So you have to see it that many more times. Plus, people have so many different sources to look at. So you really have to think it. I don't care what industry you are in. I don't care if you're a CPA. There are people out there that are sitting there going, I don't know if I can do my own taxes. I don't really need to have someone to do my taxes. So it's not industry specific. You have to give them information. You have to stay in front of them over and over and over. Now, not to the point of being obnoxious, but you have to stay in front of them. You have to teach people that you are the expert. So the fundamentals of marketing, remember, have something good to say it well, say it often. So what I said we're going to talk about mostly is drip marketing. Now, all of us have gotten that. Every one of us, and it irritates the heck out of us, where put in your email address and you can get my downloaded article. Do you know why they do that? It works. It works beautifully if you do it right. And I will say this, the more you email, the more money you make. It's that simple. The more you email, the more money you make. Now, you have to email right. If you don't have an automatic emailer, a MailChimp, a Constant Contact, Aweber, Infusionsoft, one of them, then you're really missing out on the boat, because then you can write your emails once and done and set them and they go out by themselves. But here's the thing people get upset about. They'll tell me, you know, Julie, I did that and I sent out, you know, I got 100 people's email addresses and 16 of them unsubscribed. That's awesome. Get rid of them. They are telling you, I will never be your customer. When someone unsubscribes, all it does is take a list that's this big and it starts narrowing it down for me to who is going to be my customer. So you want to have an email drip campaign. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you, you know, some examples of how you can do them. They're not difficult. They're just time consuming. But we've all gotten them. And if you look at the bottom of those emails, you can say, you know, powered by Constant Contact. But they are great in that you have to have an unsubscribe on there. You have to give people that option. Now, the other thing with this, and you'll see it later on, it depends what you email. If you email, hi, my name's Julie, I'm a business coach. Do you want to hire me? Hi, my name's Julie. I sent you a text or an email yesterday. You didn't answer. I'm a business coach. Do you want to hire me? That's not what you do. Through your email drip campaigns, you educate them. You have to teach them stuff. I always say 70% of emails that you send or ads that you put out there have to be educational. Only 30% can be somehow driven towards sales. So let's look at these. I always have to phrase how I say this. This is one of my bigger successes here. This was my cosmetic surgeon client. When I say this was my cosmetic surgeon, people look at me and go, oh, what did she have done? No, he was my cosmetic surgeon client. So he specialized, when I met him, he specialized in mommy makeovers. He said, I want to help those women that have had a couple kids and, you know, need the tummy tucks or the breast lift or whatever. So that was it. So he had a compelling, or a niche. He had already figured out what it was. He was using Facebook, pay-per-click. He was spending about $6,000 a month on Facebook. He was getting about 35 leads. That might not sound bad, but here's his ad. Nurture the body that will provoke true envy. I said, Eric, it would take me 8 surgeries to get to look like that. If I am a mommy and I'm thinking about wanting to get, you know, a little bit back to where I was, I'm going to go right past this ad. As I'm scrolling, that's not even going to hit me because I know that's not it. So what he failed to do was he never got in the head of his client, never figured out what it was. And all he was doing was putting out these ads thinking people are going to come to him because he thought, I put out a beautiful woman, they will think I can be beautiful too. If he's in Hollywood, that might work. Midwest, not happening. So I sat down with him, still stayed with the mommy makeovers. He decided that I made him get so specific, and you want to do this with your clients, with your businesses. He was targeting women who were 30 to 45 that had 2 or more kids. Figured out if you just had 1 kid, maybe you didn't have enough lumps and bumps. I don't know, but that was his market. The second thing is we came up with a different message. Rather than say, do you want the body that nurtures envy? We said, do you want the body you had before you had kids? Pretty straightforward, isn't it? And we still stayed with Facebook. So what you have to do in your business, and I'll get to the final of that, but every one of you, anytime you do advertising of any sort, you want to sit down and you want to come up with who is your market, what is your message, and what media are you going to use. You should not start out with anything unless you know what market you're trying to get to. He was trying to get to mommies. So we had to do his ads in certain places. You know, his message, we had to change it. It was not a good message. Oh, shoot, this is out of order. That's okay. So the first thing you do when you do a drip campaign, we've all seen them. You do a lead magnet. You do an ad on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, automatic text that says, put in your email address and I will provide you with something free. That's where you have to start. And if you guys want to copy these slides when we're done, just shoot me an email and I'll send them to you. That's not a problem. So you do a lead magnet, and I'm going to go through this quick because I know we're short of time and I want to get to some of this. But whenever you do it, there are 4 things it has to have. That lead magnet has to interrupt your thought. It has to engage you. It has to educate you. And then you offer something. People start offering right away. Hi, this is what I do. You want to call me? Hi, this is what. No, you have to interrupt them. You have to make them think. Every time that Clydesdale commercial comes on, it interrupts me. I stop and look. But I don't drink Budweiser, so it doesn't engage me. So it lost me on the second spot. When you do a lead magnet, it has to do all 4 of these. So here's what we did with Eric. Instead of the ad that said, nurture the body that provokes envy, this is the ad that we put out. And here was my interrupter. My interrupter is, I want the body I had before kids. So if I'm on my Facebook and I'm scrolling through it and I've been thinking a little bit about, God, I wish I could get back into my pants, you know, before I had kids or whatever, and you see this, that's going to stop you. And then we went, our next step to engage them is, it's time to get rid of the problem areas on your hips, thighs, and tummy. I wanted to say lumps and bumps, but he had a problem with that. So we didn't say lumps and bumps. But so this was it. And then all I did was put one place where you could get his information, but the free thing on the left or on your right was what got their attention. Free eye-opening report, candid answers about mommy makeover surgeries. What are the risks? What are the benefits? Will it look natural? Put in your first name and your email. Once they did that, we now have their email address. So what he starts doing is writing these emails and sending them, just educating them. the good things, the bad things, the horrible things, you know, cost, anything. We just sent out, you know, a lot of email because these people have shown a little bit of interest. Now, like I said, a bunch of them are going to unsubscribe, and that's okay. Let them unsubscribe. They were just curious. But this was the first step. We didn't send them to the website. We just sent them to a squeeze page where they downloaded that. And now we have their email. Their email goes into MailChimp. It goes into Aweber, or it goes into, you know, Infusionsoft, whatever it is. And that's where you start dripping to them every couple days. You don't want to be obnoxious and, you know, email them 10 times a day. Everybody will unsubscribe if that happens. So this is what we did. Once we had that, before we launched it, we wrote 25 emails and we had them all ready. Because if you don't have them ready ahead of time and you start getting interest, then you do the, oh, something shiny over there, and you start paying attention to them and you forget to email the people, the new ones. So we set up 25 emails and we had them all written, short, little, informational. Like I said, 75% educational, only 30% sales driven. And then that happens automatic. You never have to look at it again. They get one email, you set them up to get the next one 4 days later, it goes out automatic. Anytime anybody adds up, you know, gets new information, it starts with them all over again. So then the third thing you have to do is determine your traffic source. Where are you going to put that lead magnet? If you're business to business and you've had more success on LinkedIn, maybe LinkedIn is better for you. Maybe Facebook. Maybe you want to do it. I've had people that do old-fashioned mailers. I've had them that, you know, those still work in certain industries. But you have to figure out what that traffic source is, and you don't want to spread your dollars off over until you know if it works. So here's what happened to Eric. His ad started generating 300 to 500 prospects per month. These were not anything more than people who gave us their email address. So if you remember, he was getting 35 before. He's now getting 300 to 500 people who are requesting his article, getting him his email. His conversion rate shows that there are now 268 leads. Those are people that either didn't unsubscribe, interacted past the first email, you know, they just showed a little bit more interest. So that's a pretty high conversion rate. But selling them, it was only 8%. And people say 8% conversion, that's horrible. Well, it's horrible if you have 30 leads. It's not horrible if you have 500 leads. It started generating 32 new clients a month. And not having had it, it was generating approximately $600,000 in monthly gross revenue for him. Now, I'm not telling you this to say, oh, I'm so wonderful, I did such a great job at this. I'm telling you this to show you the success that you can have, and it's in any industry. You just have to figure out what your prospect or what your, you know, client might want. Write an article, come up with information, get a way to grab their email address. Don't start spending money just advertising without having some way of knowing who got some interest in it. If you just put an ad out there, you'll never know, or you'll never have the ability to see, you know, Facebook might tell you that it crossed this many people's feed, but that doesn't really tell you who had interest. So you want to make sure you have some way to grab their email address. Everybody right now is getting back to work. Everybody's trying to figure out how it's going to work best for them. Everybody's on their computer and working from home and Zooming much more than before. So you want to make sure you're taking advantage of that. Now, just to show you can do it in any ad or any industry, here was another one. Here was a daycare. So when you do a postcard or a mailing, you have to think of it as real estate. It's this big. I got to get as much information on that as I possibly can. That's important. Well, look at this. Well, back to school. Yeah, a picture of a son. That's nice, but it doesn't tell me anything. We're enrolling all these people. Look, we have free nutritional food. Well, that's mandated by the state. Bring in this. Here's a map of where we are. You don't need to do that anymore. This didn't tell me anything about why I should switch from one to the other. So when I asked him what he did, He wanted to educate the kids. That was his market. Parents who want their kids educated. He had a whole big, computer lab he had put in there, but he wasn't using it. He wasn't telling the people about it. So he guaranteed, this was what the message was. He said, we guarantee your child will be reading at first grade level. And I said, you can't do that, can't guarantee, but that was our idea. So targeted direct mail, we did the exact same thing, but we changed the ad to this. Is your daycare's idea of good educational curriculum watching Barney on TV? That's my interrupter. If I've been thinking about, my kids are already in daycare and is it the best daycare? Well, I'm going to look at my child and I'm going to say, did you watch Barney all day today? So I've interacted with them. I've gotten them. It said, how would you like your child to be reading at a first grade level before starting kindergarten? We got rid of the guarantee, but yet we still put that in there. And then we gave them the option to get the information about our computer lab that we had. So this is what you have to do with your marketing now. As you're sitting here and you're figuring out, how am I going to do this in the next norm or the new norm or whatever you want to call it, you're going to have to do it differently. But you have to look back at your business and say, what is it that I can say that will interrupt them, that will engage them, that will educate them, and then I can offer. Do not begin offering people stuff of your services before they like you, know you, trust you, care about you, or know that you care about them. So this was it. We generated 58 leads, 47 people applied for his 18 openings, and he filled them all. But the reason this stuff works is because people go along and they file through the buyer's journey. They understand that my client, unless they're that 1%, are just starting to think about my service, my product. I don't care if it's using a new face cream. There are some wonderful companies out there and all of them have great things, but you have to first understand, what is it that women are trying to get from it? What problem do they have that you can solve? Because when they're just starting to think about it, that's when you have to start getting in front of them. So remember, why should you buy? That's their first thought. Why should I do this? Well, I deserve it. That's your second thought. The third thing is, who are they going to buy from? And I want them to buy it from you. But they won't know that. If they have gone through the future buyer and the soon-to-be buyer stage and they have not heard of you yet, you're not going to get the sale. There are enough people out there. We all have competition. There's competition in every field out there right now, or there always is. So you have to make sure you know them along the way for every client that you want. And you do that by giving them information. So that's pretty much it. This is me, and I'm not going to go through it. What I do, one-to-one coaching, group coaching, online programs, yeah. I can do your Done For You drip campaign. I do that for clients. We design 3 to 5 landing pages. We write your downloadable. We write your emails with your information. I charge $1,197 for that. Anyone in this class, I do it for $797, but it can be done by you. You don't need, and that sounds like I'm killing my own business, but that's not what this is about. This is about getting you the information so that you can understand what you need to do going forward. And it's a step process, but you can do it. I want to thank you, Angel. I want to thank you, Volve. You women are awesome. I will share the picture of my frog. There's my frog, because I always get people that say, what's that eye looking at you? It's not just an eye, it's my frog. And there's my phone number and email. Anybody have any questions? You just want to bounce ideas off of me? Give me a call. We're always available. So thank you.